Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Rapid Recap here at Inside Nebraska. He's Steve Marik, I'm Zack Carpenter, and we're still here live from Illinois' Memorial Stadium after Nebraska 20, Illinois 7. Nebraska gets to 3-3, notches their first Big Ten wins. They're 1-2 in the Big Ten. Matt Rhule's 50th career win in college football is his most important so far here his young tenure at Nebraska. Nebraska won the ultimate swing game, and I think that's all that matters, even if it didn't look totally pretty in the second half.
Yeah, this was an incredibly huge game for Matt Rhule and company, and they did the job. They came on a weird Friday night Big Ten game against a West Division opponent that has beat them 3 consecutive times, and then they come in here into Memorial Stadium and leave with a win. You got to feel good about that. Now, the first half looked really good, I think. Second half, definitely not so much. 10 total penalties, 7 for 70 yards. An unsportsmanlike conduct, another personal foul. I feel like this is a win, and that's good because a win is a win. But at the same time, I feel like there was kind of like a bad taste left in Husker fans' mouths maybe about the way that this one ended and how sloppy it looked at times. But, like I said earlier, a win is a win, they're flying home to Lincoln right now with the win, 3-3 record, and the first win of Matt Rhule's first conference win of Matt Rhule's tenure in Lincoln. So got to feel good about that.
Yeah, and that's why we open up with it was a win. It was a Friday night Big Ten game on the road after going and getting dog walked by Michigan, one of the best teams in the conference or in the country, maybe the best team in the country. So to come out and respond like this and win the game, that's all that matters. And first off, I think that's probably the fact that they won, but they have so many things to work on. I think that's like a coach's dream, especially for a guy like Rhule, where you can keep them humble, but easier to work on the things that are you need to brushing up or completely overhaul when it's in a win and a bye week's coming up. But what did Rhule say after the Michigan game? I mean, the immediate aftermath of that loss, he went out there and he said, we're going to learn a lot about this team against Illinois. We're going to learn about me as a coach. We're going to learn about this coaching staff. And they came out here and proved something that they can respond. But like you said, they went up 10-0, and then they had the little pooch kick that turns out wasn't a pooch kick. And I'm glad I have a column that's going to be running on Inside Nebraska here shortly. And I held off. I mean, it's done, but I wanted to hold off until after the press conference. And I'm glad I did, because one of the things, there were like 15 things instances where Nebraska got fortunate or were lucky or the ball literally bounced their way. You always hear that phrase, like the ball didn't bounce our way. Well, the ball bounced Nebraska's way tonight, and I think Nebraska shouldn't apologize for that, for how many times the ball didn't bounce their way in years past. So they were kind of due, I think overdue for a night like this. But there were so many things. One of them was that pooch kick that Nebraska recovered. And then the very next play, Heinrich Haarberg, 25-yard touchdown, where he ended the players, destroyed a player's pads. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, he might have broke a kid's collarbone on that play. And Heinrich Haarberg was absolutely following Ethan Piper, who might be making a SportsCenter top play or something with his pull, and he absolutely laid out a dude to kind of pave the path for Heinrich Haarberg.
And that's when they went up 17-0. After that point is when we sort of saw, and this is a bigger picture thing that we can dissect later this week as the bye comes up, but after that, it felt like maybe Nebraska, which you'd rather have this problem, I think, than the alternative that Nebraska's had of too much confidence, especially too much of a gunslinger, I think, in Haarberg, who got a little too juiced up after that. But
he was playing well in the first half of the first. His first half of the first 2 quarters, then I think he finished his first half by hitting only one of his last 5 attempts. So he started hot, he ended kind of cold, but that's what you're going to get. He's still a young quarterback, believe it or not. It's his 3rd year in the program, but he's really only playing for the first time in his career this season. He's learning about the Big Ten speed and everything, and maybe he needs to learn to dial it back at times, but at the same time, that's what makes him kind of good back there, and that's what makes him Nebraska's best quarterback, in my opinion, so you got to play him.
I know you're in love with the sidearm throws, too. I love them.
I love it. I know a lot of people don't love it, and I totally understand where they're coming from. The mechanics aren't great, But some of those arm angles, I think, work out to his benefit, especially on that 4th and 5 to Alex Bullock that kept the drive alive, and I think Nebraska ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive. I loved it. I think he's a creator. I've called him a creator in some of my written content.
Harburg the creator, like Hagar, they're horrible.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. I think Heinrich Harburg showed some good things again, and again, his confidence is just going to keep growing. And once he learns to rein in some of the energy that he has, I think it's going to be good for Nebraska's offense.
We have so much more that we can dissect right now, but we have a bunch of written stuff that's coming up on the website tonight and tomorrow. Last thing to hit, though, just before we get out of here, the defense came back, and it was Michigan. Yep. So 45 points, 249 yards rushing on 51 attempts. It was 4.9 yards per carry. Tonight they allowed only 21 rushing yards on 19 attempts, 1.1 yard per carry against a bad Illinois rushing offense. And 6 opponents, 5 of those, so obviously not counting Michigan. The other 5, they've allowed 60 or less than 60 yards rushing. So it was more to the tune tonight of the Nebraska defensive effort that we saw in the other 4 games coming into this one, except for last week against Michigan. And they got 2 takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of guys on defense that played well, obviously. Isaac Gifford led the team with 8 tackles. Phelan Sanford, former walk-on 8-man star from Dundee County, Stratton, in the southwest corner of the state. He comes in. He has a scholarship now. He's starting at safety.
First career start tonight.
Yeah, first career start after Deshaun Singleton went down last week against Michigan. He forces a fumble that falls right into two-way Tommy Hill's hands, and he brings it back. And then, they're just good performances all over. You look at Quentin Newsom, he gets his first career interception.
Almost housed it.
Almost housed it. That would have been very cool. The defense was playing lights out today, and I think Tony White, I think he's really going to like the film that he's going to watch tonight.
Yeah, as the offense, Emmett Johnson had the fumble. They had
Grant too.
Yep, they had struggles closing it out again. And that is something that was popping in my mind. Rhule in the post-game press conference said something to the tune of that Minnesota game, hearkening back to that, of that game could have gone just like Minnesota, but the guys responded. So that's sort of what this game was about, was responding and then swinging things in their favor. I mean, they're, believe it or not, like I keep saying, they're right in the thick of the Big Ten West race like they were last year. They were 3-3 after 6 games last year after the win over Rutgers, which was a similar style game to this one. Another
interesting thing with Matt Rhule in the post-game press conference was he was defending his guys against those false starts. All those false starts, I think there was 5 in the game, and Matt Rhule he said that he was getting on the refs for not being diligent enough against what Illinois' defense was apparently doing, and they were apparently yelling, they were apparently clapping,
similar to Reimer.
Yeah, exactly, simulating a snap count. So who knows what's going to come with that, but I'm sure a lot of fans aren't going to like that. They might view it as an excuse. I don't know, but that was something interesting. We're learning that Matt Rhule can say a lot of stuff behind the podium after games. He's not really afraid.
Yeah, I think he's almost getting more comfortable at
more
comfortable, or maybe he just cares less about if he says anything volatile or anything like that. But we sort of witnessed that on Monday, Saturday after Michigan, and Monday from a fiery Matt Rhule. And they came in here, and they put a lot of emphasis on this game. Rhule from right away after that loss, and then on Monday again, they put so much stock into this game, and they won it. Like that's, I think there's so much credit due there when you put so much into it, and then you do come out with a win, which is something that hadn't been seen in recent years at Nebraska, especially last year with the Northwestern game to open. But my God, we don't have to digress on that.
No.
Speaking of Northwestern, though, 2 weeks from tomorrow, from Saturday, Nebraska's going to be welcoming the Wildcats in for.
I've been kind of impressed with those guys.
Yeah, they fight.
They are not laying down. I think they kind of have that us against the world mentality inside the locker room, and whenever you get a bunch of 18 to 23, 24-year-olds together thinking like that, that can be dangerous. So they hung with Penn State for a half. Penn State kind of rolled away in the second half like they should. But I don't know, Northwestern, they're not just going to sit down and lie down.
Yeah. I mean, just like we talked about all week, there are 4 straight games: Illinois, Northwestern, Purdue, Michigan State, where they're all 4 winnable for Nebraska, and the opponent and the opponent is saying the same thing, like this is winnable.
That's the Big Ten. That's the Big Ten. It's going to be fun. However you look at it, you might think it's bad football. I don't know. I find it kind of intriguing. It's awesome.
Yeah. Intriguing. We'll have an entire week to dissect it because we got a bye week coming up before that Northwestern game, and Nebraska football picks up again. So midway point, and kind of nice for Nebraska after 6 games, a direct midway point to get that bye week. But
off topic, I know it's cold. It's 48 degrees right now in Champaign. It's a little windy. I love it. It's football weather. I might be chattering my mouth a little bit, but I like it.
You look a little blue in the face and the lips.
Yeah,
but
a little bit. I'm cold, whatever, but I feel like it. I'm on a football field. It's cold. There's leaves everywhere. I'm loving it. This is football weather. Let's go.
That's what Matt Rhule loves too. He talked about Michigan State in November, all the way back in April, when he's like, we got to play the spring game in this terrible weather because that's what you're going to do at Michigan State.
Play in the elements.
In November. So we'll have that coming up here shortly in a few weeks. Probably be here before you know it. So for Steve Marik, I'm Zack Carpenter, and we'll catch you guys again next time.